in all those amateur victories, what was one that stood out more than maybe any of the others?
Well, I have to say it was the Michigan medal play at Washtenaw Country Club, because I really never knew if I could win anything until I actually did. Nobody knows that, and once you go through the experience of winning, it helps your momentum for future tournaments. So that first win, and then the next few years after that, I won the Michigan Amateur. So then I knew that I could play within Michigan, but I didn't have any idea that I could play nationally also, which came about later on.
Good morning. I'm Jennie McCafferty with Michigan Golfer. We're at beautiful Washtenaw Golf Club and even the more beautiful bar early on this morning with owner Dave Kendall and PGA Pro from 1999 to 2007, Jim Wilson. It's so nice to have both of you here on this really early morning.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. It's great to be here.
It's great to have Jimmy here again. I was a member here in 2002, and Jim was the best host I can imagine, so we really enjoyed our time.
We sure did. It was a fun relationship. I remember when you joined the club, I was so happy that you were going to be a part of the Washtenaw family.
Well, at some point, Washtenaw Country Club became Washtenaw Golf Club. Were you here during that time?
You know, I had left for another club, and it went from a private club to Washtenaw Golf Club, and I guess it was owned another owner at that time, right, Dave?
Yeah, by the Burgers. They owned Polo Fields, and they bought Washtenaw, and for a short period of time it became Polo Fields Washtenaw.
Oh, yes.
And it became public at that time. If you were a member of Polo Fields, you were a member of Washtenaw. So they were private still, but then became public once they sold Polo Fields and just owned Washtenaw. That was around 18 or 19.
I see. Yes, that's correct. I believe that's correct.
Mm-hmm. So your tenure was 1999 to 2007, and probably some momentous things happened, but let's start at the beginning with you. At what point did you become a PGA Pro?
Well, it was an interesting story. A friend of mine had come home with his name on a golf bag. And I said, "What the heck is that all about?" He said, "I'm an assistant pro."
Oh.
And I said, "Assistant pro, you can't even beat me." So I just said, "Tell me more about this assistant pro." And about a month later, I had my name on a golf bag. So that's how it all came about. So I went through as an apprentice pro. So you earned a point per month working in the pro shop. And that meant I cleaned a lot of golf clubs and picked up the range balls and worked a lot of hours. But it was a passion that I really had for serving the members and offering all those fun services. So,
how many points did you have to get to be get a step up?
It was about a 4-year program.
36 credits.
And it took me because our winters were or summers were short. We didn't get points in the winter, so about 36 credits.
Yeah.
Dave's right. Yeah.
So, what are you doing at the moment?
Well, right now I am a in-home service consultant for Home Depot Interiors, and I'm also a sales coach. So I oversee the sales in about 7 states for Home Depot. And we help a lot of people with their home improvements, windows, kitchens, and in some areas roofing and siding. So that's what I'm up to and have been for many years.
And you'll be coming over to our house soon, I assume. So during your Washtenaw Golf Club years, what are some of your favorite memories?
Well, the first year I came back, it was the centennial year, and it was a week-long celebration. I can't tell you how exciting it was for everybody. I mean, right here on the range, we started on a Monday, which traditionally we were closed, but we made a whole week of it. And we had Ed Humanick came back, he had played on the PGA Tour, and Doug Davis, the Tim and Dan Roberts boys, they shared their junior golf experiences here. We had Bud Stevens, who is a great amateur champion, and I mean, it went all week long, all the way through a couples extravaganza on Saturday, which was the finale of it all, and we ended up with a formal party with all types of honorees, and members from the past and present were all included.
And along the way, I imagine you met some really interesting people. One of the one that comes to mind is, did you know Randy Erskine?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know, Randy Erskine was, he is Michigan's Jack Nicklaus and Peter Jacobson combined. I mean to tell you, it was such an honor and a pleasure to work for and with Randy Erskine. You really never could keep up with the man. I mean, he was just so committed to every day, and he was an innovator, okay? He was fitting clubs and bending clubs and building clubs here on site long before it was the popular thing to do. He absolutely had a passion for all aspects of the golf industry, and he led by example. He was an amazing worker. Randy was he was just never afraid to take on anything, and whether it was bending clubs, building clubs, he was the top merchandiser in the country, and being around Randy Erskine was just a pleasure. But let me just put Randy in the shadows for a moment. The real joy was Judy. I mean, Judy was just, if the word kind and Judy had a fist fight, kind would immediately back, because kind could never be as kind as Judy was. What a great lady.
That's so true.
So you knew Judy also?
Yeah. I remember being out in Palm Springs at a senior club pro championship, and I'm playing with Lynn Jansen, Randy Erskine, Gary Groh. And I said, wow, if somebody ever told me I'd be playing with these legends, I would have never believed it. So Lynn says to me, hey Dave, why do you think Randy was so good? He thought I didn't know. I said, that's easy. Randy is the most positive player on the golf course of anybody who ever lived.
Oh yes.
He just always thinks that everything's going to work out and everything's going to be fine because he's going to see to it. He's amazing. He's inspirational. I tried to be more like him. I just wasn't as good at it.
Classic golf course in Washtenaw Country Club.
And I think that course, the Washtenaw Country Club course, is more than 100 years old, isn't it?
Correct. It was established in 1899. Been around for a long time. Donald Ross did oversee some of the work out there, and it's just your classic traditional golf course. It's one that you can't find anymore in the state of Michigan, really.
Men are playing white tees, ladies play the reds. 65 plus for men. You are playing the forward tees if you choose. Veterans get to play any tee that they choose. Max score today is bogey. So if you bogey, please pick up, move on to the next hole. Please keep up with the group in front of you. Some contests on the hole or on the course today. We have closest to the pin for men, it's on hole number 14. Closest to the pin for ladies is on hole number 12. Longest drive for men, hole number 6. Longest drive for ladies is on hole number 2. Each group has an official scorecard with your drink ticket stapled to it, 2 per person. Please make sure you keep score on that, and once you conclude play today, return it to the pro shop so we can get your scores put in for live scoring as fast as possible. There will be a horn to signal play today, so please wait to hit your first tee shots until you hear that horn. You have lead-ups to take you onto the golf course, so please wait for your lead-ups to signal you to go onto the golf course. Once again, there is a horn to signal play, so please wait for the horn before you hit your first tee shots. Bring your scorecards up to the pro shop once you conclude play. Return your carts down by the cart barn. Head into the banquet area for your dinner.
Is Ryan Pfeiffer, who we really love because we come over here for food at least twice a week, and he's in charge of it. Is that fair?
Definitely. Yeah, I love having you guys. Always a pleasure when I see you guys walking in the door.
Well, Ryan, how did you get involved in the food business?
Well, quite a while ago, I was in a completely different area of expertise. I actually was IT and construction. That's how I started out, but basically I ended up getting a job at another golf course, and I fit right into the food area. Obviously, at one point I did consider going to school for culinary, so becoming a front of the house manager was ideal because you got to deal with a little bit of the food as well as be on the floor, and obviously being a chatter as I am, it kind of all made sense.
Well, it does make sense, and I'm always struck by how different it has to be to get food ready for a tournament that's ending and people are hungry and coming in kind of at different times. And then on the other end of the scale, you've got weddings. That's really different, isn't it?
Definitely. That is what makes the golf course food and beverage very unique. It is different every day. When you work in a restaurant, it's rhythmic. Everything is the same day in, day out. Same. Golf course, you have a bar, you have weddings, you have different events, baby showers, all sorts of family events, different menus. So you're executing things where you have to be on top of your game and on top of your toes because it's ever changing. You're dealing with many different food items, different bar packages. So it makes it a very exciting food and beverage job as opposed to other ones where you can get very burnt out very quickly.
Yeah, I can see how that would make a big difference. Well, you've got your 3 owners. You've got Dave, and you've got Steve, and you've got Nick. And I understand that Nick is really involved in the kitchen.
Definitely. Nick basically has a lot of teaching here. He is a golf professional, and he also has a restaurant himself. Nick is Korean, so he has Nagomi Sushi, which is located in Ann Arbor, and they do a fabulous job. So if you do like sushi, I recommend Nagomi. And it's Korean barbecue too. So Nick was brought on, I think, as with ownership to come out and kind of be a liaison with the food and beverage. Dave, obviously, golf, and Nick has a food background. So Nick really steps away. He's not as involved as you might actually imagine. So I guess that's a good thing. I think it's because it means we're doing the right thing. So, but Nick really does have a huge impact on everything we do here, and he's always willing to lend a hand. That's one thing I love about Nick. He makes us feel like he works for us and not the other way around, and I think that's a great attribute as an owner. Always willing and available to help.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it. So talk a little bit about weddings. I imagine you've got mothers of the bride, you've got brides, you've got a lot of people with ideas. You must be a diplomat.
Yeah, definitely. So I will say, yes, we have our fair share of fun with the weddings. Quite a bit of after conversation can occur from many of the stories. I would say most of our weddings we do have fun and enjoy. But we do get yes, the bridezilla. Yes, it is. It is a real term. But most of the brides are pretty relaxed and chill that we have here. And of course, there is the dynamic where you do have the mother or the bride. Sometimes we are playing, as you said, the diplomat. We are actually the liaison between the bride and the mom and the bridesmaids, trying to keep the peace. We're doing everything we can do correctly, but they sometimes have disagreements, so sometimes we do have to play diplomat on that, and that actually can be quite fun. So
That's an interesting part of a job I bet most people don't even think about.
mhm.
Yeah. Well, how about a golf tournament? You've got a completely different sort of situation where you've got a whole bunch of people who've been out playing and they're probably really hungry. So what kinds of things do you get ready for a group like that?
So golf outings are one of the big aspects that I really enjoy the most. I should mention Noah McNamara, our food and beverage manager. He runs most of the banquet events and our weddings, does a phenomenal job. He also works in the bar as well. And I usually take the reins when it comes to golf outings, essentially because I have a big golf background myself as an avid player. So golf outings for me is a fun thing, and golf, most outings run the same. Early tee times, register, they have everything set up. Sometimes we have a breakfast, coffee, everything out and available. People tee off. Typically most golf outings will focus on something simple for a lunch, an on-the-turn burger or hot dog to keep the pace of play, as outings can run a little slow. And then usually the dinner is a much more wow factor because everyone's finished. We don't have to worry about pace of play, and of course everyone wants to hang out and see if they won something.
Yeah.
And most of our outings focus on charity events, which is really great, and all sorts of different charities that the outing may support. So most of the events, there's a lot of auctions and everything of that nature, and they usually will wow the people for thanking them to come with a very nice dinner. Typically fillets is a very good choice, but we can do all sorts of different menu items for them.
Okay, so you might have a buffet style for breakfast, but not for dinner.
Dinner we do both. We do
Okay.
buffet or plated, completely up to the choice of the outing. Obviously it all comes with a price cost, but I would say a vast majority of our outings are about 50-50 from plated to buffet.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah. So, what is one of the big challenges of your job?
I think the biggest challenge is just the overall factor that, as we were talking about earlier, there is the dynamic of a golf course, and it makes it interesting, but at the same time the different events and the change-ups can be a little overwhelming at times. It can be a little tough to balance that. It takes particular mindsets to work with that, where every day, one day you have a late night, you have a wedding, and then the next day you have a 9 a.m. tee time. So your turnaround times can be kind of quick, and that can usually be something that can weigh on your shoulders a little bit, especially if you have back-to-back events, because you want the weddings to look beautiful, absolutely. But you have a Saturday wedding and it's followed right up by a prior Friday night wedding. It can be turned into a late night and a very early morning. But ultimately, we try to get it done, and we always make sure that each wedding gets the best service possible.
Well, Ryan, it sounds like you have fun with your job.
Definitely do. I really enjoy Washtenaw Golf Club. I highly recommend, if you have never played this course, to come on out. And basically, what makes my job so enjoyable is not only the golfers in the golf course, but it's the people you work with and that you get to share a lot of good times with.
Good times. That's the whole story. Thank you, Ryan. We're at Washtenaw Golf Club on a beautiful day, and with us is the three people who own this beautiful place. We have right here Steve Davis, Dave Kendall, and Nick Ma, and they have a great story to tell. In fact, we're going to start here with Steve. Apparently you and Dave have known each other for a while.
We've known each other a very long time. We used to play golf together in Jackson as kids. We'd go around and around at Arbor Hills Country Club, and of course we went to the same high school, so yeah, I've known Dave forever, and we're still having a great time here working at Washtenaw and trying to make it better.
Are you playing golf together sometimes?
We sure do, and I'll tell you a quick story. I'll tell Dave, hey, you're a professional player, you're a great player, and you could probably have +5 and I'm an 8 or a 9, so why don't we go play and you give me 10 or 12 strokes and we'll have a great time. Play for a couple of bucks. And he'll say, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you what you gave me when we were kids. Nothing. So we have a lot of fun.
He was 2 grades ahead of me. Yeah, so
Yeah, we play together a lot, and we have a lot of fun together. We have a lot of respect for each other, so we have a great time.
Well, Dave, you also are involved with Kendall Academy, and so you basically started out mostly as an instructor, right?
Yeah, Kendall Academy, we came to this area in 1997. I was the golf professional at Cadillac Country Club for 17 years. Karen and I went there as newlyweds in 1980, and we were there through 96. And while I was there, I got to know Chris Mile. Chris Mile, the operator of Miles of Golf. That's how we became acquainted, and he needed a golf teacher, and it was my opportunity to start my academy at that time, and it was a real good time. And I think to have a standalone teaching business, it has to be in the right place. I don't think you could do it everywhere. I don't think you could do it here at Washtenaw because the range is too small. And they have a great retail business and a real nice range, and it was a real good place where a teacher could establish a business. And then as my business got bigger, we had added instructors, and that's how I got to know Nick. Nick has although he's a restaurateur today in Ann Arbor, that's how he's known, but actually has quite a background in the golf business and actually taught at my academy for many years, and so we became close friends. So I told Nick that when we'd talked about this for some years,
right,
that I wouldn't do it without him. And
exactly. So that's how we started.
He said, "Well, I won't do it without you." So, anyways, it's funny how things turned out.
Absolutely.
We talked about it for many years before we ever did that, and this was a place that we were interested in.
Yeah, and it was our dream to own a golf course, and this happens to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to meet Steve on the way, and it's my dream. And I'm so glad that I have these partners with me.